Jason, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Hey, Dan, good to see you. So glad to
All
join
right.
you for this, goodness gracious, fifth episode in this series.
Pretty wild. We're at number five. So, those that are out there listening, episode five is titled The Power of Partnership. And it's something that I think is so important inside financial centers is how you build that partnership and how you build that synergy. We say it often. The most successful financial professionals are those that have the best relationships with their financial centers, no question. In today's episode, we really dove into a lot of different tools and things to do inside that financial center to really hone in those relationships and go from working in a silo to working as a team. It's pretty awesome.
And we've all been there. We've all been in teams where there seems to be sometimes the one person off to the side. Hopefully, it's never been us, but we've probably been that person at times where
Sure.
just, a little bit off every single day, week, month. And then you get to a year or two down the road and you realize now there's eight silos inside the bank, the branch, the financial center. Everyone's doing their own thing. And we just got off a long time ago. And so it's easy to kind of get off course. But that's why I love today's webcast because we have to fight to stay on course. It's not easy. Like you have to
No.
continually fight for it. And when you do, you see the magic. And I love that we talked about how 1 plus 1 equals 3. 1 plus 1 equals 3 because it just compounds, it just grows, just pushes the momentum when we're doing the right things at the right time.
Absolutely. Look, the one thing that I took away that I loved in this whole episode was the message that inside the financial center, it's really about there are clients. They're
Mm.
not my clients. And I think as financial professionals, lots of times we kind of hone in like, hey, I am the center of this financial center and these are my clients and or they're going to become my clients. But when you can bring everyone together with just a simple change of philosophy, just by saying, oh yeah, and you kind of reiterating over and over throughout the years, these are our clients, you're really going to go a long way of building that team feeling more than anything. It's not about what it's said on paper, what it's what you're saying. It's truly making the financial center partners really feel like there are clients and that you're in it together.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And it's, again, it just goes back to that solo versus the team. And, when you start to get off course, you just start dropping into the solo thing. And so why don't we just dive in for a second, maybe from the financial professional point of view, what are some of the things that we could be doing as financial professionals to make sure that we're not the ones being the solo. We're not being the silos. We're not being the ones who are off to the side.
Yeah. Man, absolutely. I think the number one thing is get to know the people in your office. I mean, you generally have to want to, um, make those relationships. You got to be generally curious to what's going on in their lives. You want to get to know them, and you got to talk to them. You got to communicate with them. You got to say hi to them. You got to do you bond with them socially. You got to reward them when they're successful. You got to and that's not only with events or anything like that. It's simply just bringing their name up in a huddle and just giving them recognition. That's the key, man. And again, it's not about a rigid process. It's just about building the bonds with people that you show up every single day with to accomplish a task and build relationships. It's that simple.
I love it. And that's culture 101. That's culture 101. And especially if you want your leadership. I mean, again, uh, leadership is influence. And so if you want your influence to continue to grow, especially in positive ways, right? Because our influence can grow in negative ways. We could be very influential inside of our financial center. in a way that nobody wants to come near us. Nobody wants to talk to us. Nobody wants to refer anybody to us. We don't want that type of negative influence. And it's possible to get there if we don't do the things you just talked about. Genuinely care, learn names, learn kids' names, all of that kind of stuff. It's just so powerful. So when we do strive for the the powerful influence, the positive influence, it's incredible. If you take a few moments throughout the day and you check in with people, if you follow up questions with what's going on in their lives, you laugh with them over maybe a funny client interaction because we all have them. We've all been there. Those type of things are just going to continue, uh, building it, and then it just becomes this seamless handoff when the referrals are happening. Instead of, the how come you're never telling me? How come there's no more of that? It's just seamless. It's like, oh, everybody understands their cues and everybody's starting to move. And I grew up in Detroit. No offense to my friend on the other side of the camera, but we have real hockey in Detroit.
Oh,
And
actually, I can't really complain. I can't really say anything because my whole adult life, the Flyers have not won anything. So I guess mm, that
now,
hurt
now my Red Wings aren't quite doing
though.
quite well now, but when I was a
And you had a
kid,
run in the '90s. Hey,
yes,
zero,
yeah,
zero
well, when
Stanley
I was a
Cups.
kid, the Wings were
I moved
incredible
to
and they
Florida.
were
There's been
seamless.
four in the state.
But one thing that was amazing about the Red Wings when I was a kid is, uh, all of a sudden they started all these Russian players at once, Sergei Fedorov, and I mean all these amazing players. And when they all got onto the ice at the same time, it was seamless. I mean, it was just this powerful, like they were in sync with each other so incredibly well. That's the same thing that happens when we're building a referral culture. We're client first. There's no more me. It's my, no more my client. This is, your client. No, no, it's ours. One team. We start to do these seamless handoffs. And when that happens, look out. Because now, on the quarterly calls, your team's going to, if not be towards the top, it's going to be at the top.
Yeah, one of the things, from my perspective, one of the things that I see a lot is someone, I'll meet someone, a couple different things. First, you could tell advisors that are traditionally more, I guess, how do I say it? They're just a little more anxious, right? They're a little bit they're just more a little bit high strung, or they're
Yep.
just they're behind on their month, or and you can kind of feel that energy, and then there's advisors that are more calm, at peace. They like they're experiencing some success, but they're also the ones that are more likely to be in the branches talking to people, because when you're under the gun and you're under pressure and you're kind of getting your own head, you kind of tend to silo off a little bit. So, taking I would say taking the time to really connect with your coworkers, they're going to help you become a better financial professional, because you're going to be in a better mood mentally and physically by just being around other people that are just happy or positive. Um, so when you think about in terms of building those relationships, I think it's really important, in that matter.
It's just huge, and especially, like, I love what you said there because, yeah, we're here's the thing to remember: we're all going through something. There's weight on all of us. The stress is there; it's real, and so why, as a team, add to it on each other? And so, or why not when you see somebody else drowning, or you see somebody else being weighed down so much, and
Lift them
you
up.
have the ability to help relieve some of that, why not do that? And so maybe it's as simple as checking in with them because their kid got into a car accident and they were trying to figure everything out. Or, you know, somebody forgot to do the paperwork the right way or submitted something wrong and the system got all messed up, and it's so easy to start pointing fingers and wanting everything to collapse. Well, instead of doing that, why not say, hey, we're in this together, we're going to figure it out, let's go to town. Now, there's a whole different category if somebody is habitually late, messing up, doesn't care, toxic. Okay, that's a different category. But if they're legitimately bringing their best self, doing everything that they possibly can to try to succeed, we got to be in there together. We're stronger together. We are stronger together.
You got to expect, we're all human. You got to expect human error, and the way you handle those errors with your team is the difference between having a great year and having an okay year.
Yep.
There's many times where my internal partners has made an error, and I just take responsibility because I'm the face of the footprint, and I know that goes a long way for him because now he has confidence to go out and do what he's got to do without making errors because he knows if he gets he's I'm going to have his back. I think that's really important inside the financial center. One of the things that we hear a lot, Jason, that I hear a lot at least is, I'll talk to people and I ask them, what's the referrals like? How you doing? How's your branches? And often I get times, well, this branch is great, that branch is great, that branch doesn't do anything. Like I don't understand it. And sometimes there's a lot of turnover, sometimes there's a lot of different, but I think as financial professionals, you tend to gravitate towards the ones that are producing. It's just natural. Someone's produced, someone's giving you referrals, you're going to go back and you're going to take care of them. And you might not want to take the time to build that culture in that branch that's not doing well. Well, that's a big opportunity for growth because your ability to take a really good branch that's referring and make it even more is going to be a lot more difficult than taking a branch that's underperforming, and you could just get them up a little bit more and get from 0 referrals to 2 or 3 that turn into 3 or 4 that turn into 5 or 6, so now you're getting maybe 3, 4, 5 a week. That's going to be a substantial growth, but that's where it's going to take the longest time, and that's, as a financial professional, you really have to play the long game, and you can't let your self-imposed obstacle get in the way. What is that? Well, what is that is there's a high turnover, there's someone new, someone less experienced. They're all excuses that we put in our own heads. If you can overcome that and continue to push and work and showing up is the biggest thing, and show up at that branch, you build that relationships. The more you do that, the people that aren't producing are going to feel bad they're not producing, and they're going to want to produce for you and get your referrals. That's how I kind of see it from an outside perspective.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's just huge when we're able to do that and look for those, different kind of ways. Especially to, the thing that I think we hear a lot about is we celebrate the numbers on the scorecard. I mean, how many calls have you and I been on where, they pull up the screen, we celebrate those, but sometimes, we don't celebrate those, what you just talked about, some of those handoffs, some of those referrals, some of those, kind of things. And if we did that, in tandem with obviously celebrating the numbers, I mean, it just would go a long way to continue, helping out the branch's momentum altogether.
I've been on calls like that, and I tell you, the people that are being mentioned on those calls as doing a great, uncovering an opportunity, having success with an advisor. You can hear it in their voices. You can hear it in their peers. Everyone's kind of laughing. It's just an exciting moment on that call. And when we have more of those moments, it's just going to build on each other. Just like that, just like your awful Detroit Red Wings. You know what I mean? Like they build on it, they get better, they get momentum. You start to feel better. You're in that what we used to call the zone when we used to play Sega. I don't know if you ever played Sega, but we used
Oh
to
yeah.
play NHL hockey '97, and you'd get in that zone where you couldn't stop anybody. Detroit would always get in that zone. So that's the more you build, the more you're going to get in the zone, and ultimately you're going to win championships or get referrals, unless you live in Philly.
I was trying to remember who was one of the big names during those years. Eric Lindros, was he on the Phillies?
Yeah,
The
Leclerc,
Flyers?
Lindros, late
Yeah.
'90s. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those years are huge. Yeah, some of those things we talked about. Some of these best practices, the joint goals and scoreboards, the regular joint meetings, the shared client planning, the cross education sessions, the social bonding, the celebrate team success. You know, eh, not every leader is the person in the office who likes to remember all the birthdays or all those kind of things, but it doesn't hurt you if you do. Like those kind of things are powerful when you
Well, let's
do it.
be
I
honest.
still to this day, if I on someone's birthday for a client, if I film a video of me saying happy birthday, I'm so excited, what a great day, and I text them that video, I get so much feedback from that. I could send a handwritten card.
That's probably gold.
I could send a ice sculpture. They'd be like, okay, whatever. But the video, boy, they love it.
Yeah, and there's no excuses today because with all the technology, you should be able to identify. I know, we have reports that are ran to us on people's birthdays. It's just it's so easy to keep track of if you're in a branch and you have 6 team members, it's easy to be able to put that in your outlook for when their birthday pops up. I mean, that's really no excuses. You should really do that, or at least, well, usually when somebody's birthdays, they start talking about it. Week to week, you should be able to bring in something or do something like a video. I think that's table stakes for building
Yeah.
culture.
It's just huge to be able to do that. It's just huge. And I just love that each of these episodes have built on top of each other. And, they started off so simple. We started with it starts with hello, like the biggest no brainer. But we just sometimes we get a little off course and we just kind of stop doing those things. And, like we talked about, let me see if I can bring up the right slide. Leaders of effective referral programs focus on the why, helping customers. And the reality is, we can't take our foot off the pedal. I mean, that's the thing. If we take our foot off the pedal, we're just going to struggle, and it's going to be a difficult. It's going to be a difficult run, and so we've got to do absolutely everything we can to make sure that we stay focused on these things. And so that's why I love the series. That's why I love the resources that we've been putting out, for people, and the resources that Speak with People has ongoing, for teams to be able to go, okay, we've got some practical stuff to be able to hand out to our team to be able to say, hey, let's all get on the same page. Let's go through these things. And it's just so important to be able to do that.
Yeah, we've definitely built a lot of content out over the last 6 to 12 months. So that's been real exciting. One of the things that I just thought of is if I was going to give advice to a financial professional who's out there, thinking about, how does this series have an impact on them, right? I would suggest going to different banks just to walk in other banks
Mm,
and, and get a feeling of how you're
yep.
addressed, how you're presented. Like, when's the last time as a financial professional, that you walked into a competitor's bank? And I'm not saying, go across the street from where you work, but maybe, an hour away, somewhere they not going to recognize you. Just go in and just ask about rates or see how people treat you. If you do more than 5 or 6, I'm telling you, you're going to get a different reaction at each one, and you're going to realize how impactful those first few moments are when you walk into a new financial center.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I,
Absolutely.
I feel that every single day. I mean, 3, 4 times a day, you go into a new financial center. It's a different feeling every single time. And I think if you're a financial professional and you can get that perspective, I think you'll go back and say, okay, look, this is something you'll know whether you're doing it well or not. And if you're not, you're going to say, hey, this is somewhere we can start baby steps, have an immediate impact, make those changes, and you'll see, clients being happier, conversations happening a lot quicker, and more people in front of you in no time, because
Yep.
that sets the whole tone when you walk to a financial center. Whether when someone comes right up to me and says, "How are you?" I'm like, I go into the meeting like with the financial professional. I'm already like excited, just naturally, feeling good versus, going in and it's like, I'm looking around, no one's talking to me. I don't know what to do. It's get a little awkward. I'm just looking, waiting for someone to approach me. I kind of like walk over to the tellers so they can be like, yeah, can I help you? And then
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here to see Dave. Okay. Oh yeah, hold on, let me see if he's available. I'm telling you, if you do anything, do that, because I think that'll give you a whole different perspective on whether what you're doing inside the branch is really effective with the customers at the first contact.
Yeah, I love that. And I remember as a kid, my mom was a secret shopper,
That's
and
awesome.
that was the coolest thing ever. A couple of those times, and so it is kind of fun sometimes to be able to, I mean, get that market research, get that, go in and just get the feel for, how you're greeted and how you're done, and I mean, take it back. Make sometimes we work at the same place for so long. Sometimes the culture isn't exactly what we want, that we just give up, and we can't. We have to keep focusing on the why and making sure we're part of the solution to solving those things. And when we bring that all the time, powerful things happen. I mean, our influence rises, the referral culture rises because now our team members want to, do those warm handoffs. And I mean, it's like why I don't think you and I will ever get tired of talking about this, because seeing the financial professionals succeed, it's just awesome to be able to help
Yeah,
them.
great. And that's had an impact on me. I mean, me and my wife were in. Had to go into for banking for personal stuff, and we went into a couple offices, and it was like, wow, like it was, and I'm sitting there, this is what I do for a living, and I'm just kind of like, all right, no one's asking me any questions, no one wants to know if we have any additional, assets, or if we need help, or if we ever talk to anybody. Hey, we're just new to the area, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, how these people are passing up a huge opportunity, you know, with me now. I was probably not going to move my assets or do anything anyway. But the fact is that I was a target, and they didn't even ask. It's always
Yeah,
a no if you don't ask.
you just never know.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes we get to a place where we just want to dial it in. I think about, I worked in restaurants for a long, long time in my teens and early 20s. There's nothing worse than somebody coming in, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before close, but you're still open. So, you can't dial in and you still have to treat them. So it's the same way, someone walks into your financial center, whether it's towards the end of the day or,
That
whenever it
client will
is.
feel it.
Yeah.
That client will feel the fact that you're dialed in.
Yep.
So if that person just sold a house and has $200,000, $500,000 cash sitting in their bank account, walks in right before the bank close, and you dial, and you're dialed out, you may lose a big opportunity.
Yep.
And that's the price we pay when we're not generally happy to see people and wanting to connect and be curious to them. I think we used that in one of the episodes. We talked a lot about being curious. I think that's so important.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once leaders lose that curiosity, it's kind of where their leadership goes to die, because
Yeah.
now, people can tell right away that we're not caring for them, that we're just kind of going through the motions, and we can't ever get there. We have to do everything we possibly can. So it's just huge.
And
It's just
I'll
huge.
say this. I'll say this as we wrap up. Those that are dialed in are really the exception. In my footprint, most of the financial professionals that I work with are usually very outgoing, care deeply about their clients, and for the most part, they have great relationships. I mean, I've
Yep.
had some great events where I've seen financial professionals with their bankers having a great time, just laughing and joking. You can tell the chemistry's there. So that's kind of what we strive for, but that tends to be more the norm than not. So it's definitely this is definitely an episode that can help you if you're having success, bring that success to other financial centers, or build on the success that you're having to make it even more successful.
Oof.
So,
That's so good.
Jason, yeah, with that, I say let's wrap it up here. I'm thankful that everyone who tuned in is listening. Love to get feedback. Feel free to comment. If you're in the industry, if you're a financial professional, if you work within the banking systems, feel free to reach out to me directly. If you want additional, training, or if you want some more about communication training, check out Speak with People. A ton of resources on Jason's website, speakwithpeople.com, and check out his podcasts. And we are just excited to have you listening. And Jason, it's always a pleasure having you across from me on these webcasts. It's a lot of fun, and each and every time we learn as we go.
It's awesome. Thanks, Dan.
I'm Matt. Talk to you soon. Take care, everyone.
Bye.